Hi, everyone, and welcome to High Scores, High Stakes, the podcast you didn't want a sequel to, but you got it anyway. I am your host, as always,
Hey.
Mr. Luvva, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts. That's Cardinal.
Me first this time? Me first? I thought it was going to be Tom.
In
Last
They were
time we
fairness,
had
switching it
last
Tom.
time
up.
it was Tom.
Yeah.
You
Out with
can't blame me this
the
time.
old.
Yeah, hi, Tomohawk here. Great to be here. What a time. What about you,
And that
Cardinal?
would make me not Cardinal_Smith_. I'm very good, thank you.
Damn you, Elon, let me change that.
We have stepped into the multiverse of madness right now.
we really have. This is not the podcast I thought we were going to be recording, but it looks like this is a podcast we are recording. So, I don't think there's much
Embrace
more to I don't think there's much more to say about that. Apart from obviously we're still in the off season and we're still doing little bonus episodes, so we're still doing things that are a little bit different. And this week is it's unlike anything else we've done thus far, anyway. So it is. So without beating around the bush too much, Cardinal,
Don't be around the bush.
tell me, mate, what have you been playing this week?
I'll tell you what I've been playing. It's called Jedi Fallen Order, not Jedi Survivor. But I'm hammering on it. I've defeated the Ninth Sister. I've defeated all
Yes.
manner of beastie boys and big spiders and big troll things. And I've gone to some planet with witches.
Oh,
brilliant.
yes,
Yes.
that's
It's
the
getting
best
good
part
now.
of the game.
Yeah.
I've
Dathomir
already
was
finished
so
it.
good.
It was
you
great,
already finished
actually.
it.
No, I finished that
that
planet,
part?
and then I've moved on to like the old Jedi temple. It's covered in snowy blizzards and things, and I'm in
Class.
there going after stuff. So
Unreal. What a game. What are you thinking of it?
really, since I turned down the difficulty from I can't do anything without dying, I'm actually really enjoying it. Great game.
It is good. It's very good. It's very good. What about you, Tomahawk? What have you been playing, mate?
So I've been playing. I kind of need to point back to what we had said last episode about how I thought that Spider-Man maybe wasn't the greatest game I've ever played, nor is it even that replayable a game. I've been playing Miles Morales, the bonus content.
But the standalone
Incredible.
expansion's
It's
good.
bonus content. It's bonus content. Let's not kid ourselves here. It's bloody excellent. It just has given me this fresh love for that game. That even I think it's the same but different. I think Miles's character mechanics just work and flow far better than Peter's does in that original story. It just feels more organic as well. Even when you're just slicking through the city, it's just felt bloody fantastic and just so smooth as well. So hammering on with that at the minute, and I've got pending in the background Alan Wake remastered.
Ending. I've never heard of it.
Yes. Pendant. So Alan Wake, awesome.
Alan Wake's coming up in I would say early next week. I'll be starting that, and that's going to be that's going to get my full attention. I don't think there'll be nothing on the back burner, nothing running parallel to it. So exciting times.
Awesome. That's a great
What
game.
what about yourself, Luvva? What's on the agenda?
I have been playing loads and loads of games. So I have been. I got a Steam Deck, as you already know. So I did, and I have been hammering the life clean out of that wee device. Honestly, it's changed the way I play video games. It
What
really
about the Steam Deck?
It's getting played. It's honestly changed the way I play video games. My PlayStation 5 hasn't been on since Friday fortnight almost. So it hasn't. I've been playing everything on the Steam Deck, everything. So basically, I've been playing through Sunset Overdrive. Incredible.
Class.
It's incredible. I've been playing Vampire Survivors, which is actually really, really good. It's actually really good. I reckon it's right up Cardinal Street, so I do.
Yeah, talk us through that. That's not something I'm even familiar with.
So it's basically it's a top-down auto battler. So it is, and you start with a low-level character, and as you kill movie monsters, so bats, vampires, werewolves.
Okay.
You get every time you level up, you collect blue orbs, and every time you level up, you get to pick one perk out of 3. and obviously it's either going to be a defense or boost or an attack boost, and then it's just your job to survive for as long as you possibly
Oh,
can.
nice.
And it's actually it's fantastic. And it's £3 or something on Steam. Like so it's really good. It's really addictive. But it's proper good as well, and it runs like a dream on the Steam Deck. So it does. I think my longest run's about 40 minutes. At which point it just becomes like thousands and thousands of little pixelated monsters just coming at you from every
Oh,
direction,
yeah. Okay.
and it's just like ah. And then of course I've been playing Street Fighter 6. So I have, because of course I've been playing Street Fighter 6. It is
Of course.
magnificent. It is brilliant. It is
Yeah.
brilliant. I'm doing something with Street Fighter 6 I haven't done a fighting game in a long time, which is practicing. I'm actually going into practice mode because practice mode is fantastic, and there's a tutorial mode and there's the combo challenges. It's just a fantastic game. And it does it does the best job I've ever seen a fighting game do of teaching you how to play fighting games. It's amazing. And the world tour is also really ridiculous, and it's really funny, and it's really good.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, remember, we're playing a video game. Let's do ridiculous things like beat up these men with cardboard boxes on their head, because that's what the big crime does.
This is starting to sound more like a Street Fighter affiliate podcast than.
Honestly, it's amazing. Street Fighter 6 is amazing. I got it on the Steam Deck. So I bought it on Steam. It runs like an absolute dream on Steam Deck.
Oh, yeah.
Full solid 60 on medium to low settings. Brilliant.
Class.
The
Brilliant.
Stream Deck now available from Valve now. Buy now, £300.
It's not available. It's sold out. And it has been for months in the UK. You can't get one unless you're going to go for the 550
Nah.
model, which is an awful lot of money to spend on it, to be fair. But it's brilliant. It has totally changed the way I play video games. No longer am I confined to my sofa to play games. I just play it everywhere. If I have a spare 20 minutes, like, I think Mrs. Love the other day was like, I feel like a widow since you got that thing. So there you have it. Steam Deck widows are now a thing.
Very
Is
slippery
divorce still do
slope.
that?
Oh, why?
That's all right. I'll still have Street Fighter 6. And the Steam Deck runs really hot. So
It's all right. The Steam Deck will still love you. It's okay. If nothing else will.
that is it. That is it. And speaking of things loving us, or us loving things, that brings us on to what we're going to be discussing this week, boys. This is going to be
Nice.
games that we loved that never got a sequel. So I think, unless there's something really pressing that someone wants to speak about, shall we get straight into talking about games that we loved that should have got a sequel but never did?
I think we should do that. That sounds more interesting.
Yep. So as I said there, what we're doing this week is we are thinking about games that we've played in the past that we've loved, and that we've patiently waited for a sequel for this game for X amount of years, and it's never come. It's never come. So games that we've loved that have never got a sequel. Couple of ground rules to talk about, actually. Ground rules are as follows. 1, we've had to play the game. 2, we've had to love the game. And 3, it never got a sequel. And that's really it. They don't have to be PlayStation exclusives. They don't have to be anything like that. They can appear on any console at any time. So they can. So we have all made a list of 5 games that we loved and wish got a sequel. So what we're going to do is we'll start from in reverse order. We'll start from our number 5 and work way up to our number 1 games. And somewhere in the middle, we will do our honorable mentions for games that should have got a sequel but just weren't good enough to make our top 5. Does that make sense, gentlemen?
Makes perfect sense.
No one has any questions? So no one's going to be breaking these highly thought-provoking rules?
Definitely not last minute instructions. Yes.
What's the point system? Like, how do I get 3 points?
Well, Sherry gets 0, obviously.
Well, yes.
Oh,
So
standard.
Sherry gets 0 as per normal. Tom will probably start really strong but fade away towards the end. I will probably be leading the way until the last 30 seconds of this podcast, and then you'll sweep in for the win. So that's how we're going to play it.
Think of that.
Standard behavior.
I'm happy enough. I mean, start as you mean to go on. That's
I mean,
it ain't broke. Don't fix it.
I mean, yeah, exactly. That's just the way it works here. So it does. So without any further ado, my number 5 game is Sunset Overdrive from the Xbox
Very
One.
good.
Class.
So it is, as I said in the intro, I've been playing this flat out, and I have been since my birthday. It's an Insomniac game, and it's incredible. It is incredible. Do you guys know what it is? Yeah, you have any idea?
Yeah, I remember it
A
coming out at
bit
the
of an
time.
inkling,
I was
yeah.
kind of wondering if what you were playing was the same game.
Yes, it is the
Yeah,
very same.
that's
So it's
awesome.
basically open world apocalypse game. So you create your own character, which stuff I didn't know you did in it. You create your own character, and it's your job to rid the world of these zombies. And the zombies are created by a contaminated energy drink. And it's just got the most wicked sense of humor. It is 100% Insomniac, and it is 100% unlike any other open world game I have ever played. It matches, it takes Ratchet and Clank, it takes Spider-Man, and it takes Tomohawk Pro Skateboarder, and it throws them all in
Very
together
nice.
and creates this game. It's just really, really, really good. The only reason it's number 5 on my list, I think, is actually a great game. The only reason it's number 5 on my list is I haven't finished it yet. And that's the only reason it's number
That
5
makes
on my
fair.
list.
Beautiful.
So, Cardinal, what's your number 5 game, mate?
Okay, I'm gonna curveball, but this was on the PlayStation 2. It was The Simpsons Hit and Run from 2003.
Nice.
Ah,
Now,
unreal.
That is quality.
This was like an open world kind of Grand Theft Auto style, but set in Springfield. It had the same kind of missions to do as you might have done in Grand Theft Auto without the violence, but and it was just so great. And I put hours into it at the time, and I don't know
Amazing.
if there's been like a Simpsons game like it ever since.
Or
I
before.
don't think there's been a
Apart-
Simpsons
Yeah.
game since.
No, there has the Simpsons game, 2009.
I refuse to
Okay.
acknowledge it then.
It was released on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. It was actually really, really good as well. So
I will
it took all the
say-
sort of aspects of previous Simpsons games. It was really good.
Well, I tell you what, I wasn't doing my GCSEs at the time. I was during Hit and Run. And it,
Yes.
I will say about
you are
Hit and Run
aware-
actually. Just before Luvva carries on there,
Mhm.
I was talking in chat beforehand that I managed to source a PlayStation 2 just for a bit of retro gaming. I
Mhm.
got it home, opened the disc drive, and Simpsons Hit and Run was
No way.
hiding.
sitting in it. Yeah. Just to expand on Simpsons Hit and Run lore, there is a fan-made game where they're updating it for 4K.
Beautiful.
there you go. So there practically is a sequel. Flip side, Cardinal.
I mean, that's a -1 point for Cardinal.
So not only did Luvva not finish his first game, there's also technically a sequel for Cardinals game. So we're not off to a good start here, lads. Maybe I can try and redeem ourselves here on the first
Help us out here, Tomahawk.
Yeah, help us out, Tom. What's your number 5 game, mate?
My number 5 game. It was Titanfall 3. I just want a Titanfall 3. That's the long and short of it, really. I mean, Luvva, you know yourself, we have a soft spot for Titanfall 2 in this podcast here.
Yes.
I just want a bloody PS5 next gen balls to the wall
Yeah.
Titanfall game.
I mean,
I know it's not going to happen.
Titanfall
sadly.
3.
it's on my. I made a list of every game I could think of that I played that never got a
Yeah.
sequel. Titanfall 2 is the top game on my on. It was the first game I thought of. Titanfall 2 never got a sequel. I think we have to.
I think
No, go ahead, Cardinal.
I think in the environment right now, our first-person shooters are kind of limited to COD and
That's it.
Apex.
I mean,
whatever. Titanfall 3, if they could come in, upgrade that to the current gen, anything they need to add to it would be immense and do really well.
because
Yeah,
I've been
I
going
think-
back and playing Titanfall 2 as well, and I find that it's not just a case of go in your Titan, decimate everyone. The game forces you to do nearly like a kind of weird co-op where you have to let your Titan do its own thing for you to progress the story. So it's so good. It was such a good game for its, like I say, for its time. It's not that old actually, but just never got the love I think it deserved. And
Yeah, I would agree. I think I've said this before in this podcast. I think Titanfall 2 has the single best campaign I have ever played in a first person shooter. It is start to finish. It is
Yeah.
incredible. The one mission that always jumps out at me in Titanfall 2 is the one where you get the time device, where you can jump back and
Oh,
forth through time.
forgot about that.
Unreal. What a game. What a game. I think we need to come to terms with. I think one of the developers was talking about Titanfall not that long ago, maybe 2, 3 weeks ago, maybe a bit longer. Was saying that
Mm.
he's pitched idea after idea after idea to EA for Titanfall 3. I just keep on going, no, no. Just you make another skin for, what do you call it, one? Apex Legends. I think we might
Yeah.
have to
EA.
start playing Apex Legends because that is
Who
Titanfall
knows? It
3.
might actually be good. Like, yeah,
A-
we might actually love it.
Apex Legends is enjoyed and does look good to a lot of people.
I played it when it first came out, and it was just such a high level movement involved very quickly by
Yeah.
all these lads who are just amazing at it. But yeah, Titanfall 3, yeah. Titanfall 2 was one of the games I listed. It was the first game I listed, but it didn't make my top 5.
Okay.
Shocker. Because I thought, I bet you Tom mentions this one.
It's also funny though, because I remember when we did our grudge chip segment on
Of course.
Titanfall, and I think we checked the lobbies, and there's like 800 people still playing online.
Yeah.
So shout out to you, 800 heroes.
You absolute heroes. Fighting the fight,
Chads.
Tom just won't. So,
Yeah, boy.
so, so our number 4 games. Number 4. My number 4 is a massive, massive hitter. A massive multi-platform game. New unrivaled success. And I still to this day, I lose sleep thinking, how did this game never get a sequel? It's one of the best racing games in the PlayStation 2 era. It's probably the finest motorcycle game ever made. It is, of course, Freak Style. Freak Style. Do you remember back in the early 2000s when EA were making these awesome extreme sports games that didn't obey the laws of physics and had SSX?
Oh yeah.
And SSX was mega, mega, mega popular. So they started trying to find another SSX. Well, they landed on Freakstyle. And Freakstyle is basically a motocross game in the vein of SSX. It was fast, it was furious, it was unrealistic as all hell. It had an absolute killer soundtrack, and it was brilliant, brilliant fun. It was kind of like, did you ever play Excitebike on the, I want to say GameCube,
No.
where the whole thing revolves around doing tricks to get boosts? And
Tom's
it's
only just got a PlayStation 2. You know,
true,
he
true.
hasn't got around to the GameCube yet.
Freak Style, mate. Get your hands on it. Came out in GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox. I played it on GameCube actually, which is
Okay.
strange. But it was fantastic. If Sherry was here, he'd be telling you the same. He'd be telling you the same. It was fantastic.
Never heard of it, but this sounds fun.
What about you, Cardinal? Then? What was your number 4?
Well, I'll tell you, it's something we've all played, no doubt. Really popular. It wasn't a commercial flop at all. It was, of course, Square's Vagrant Story from 2000.
That's on my
This
list
was
too. Not my top
no,
5.
it's not.
It is, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it is actually this was rated at the time. I remember the PlayStation 2, PlayStation Magazine. Remember that one? And it's
Mhm.
gave it a 10 out of 10. Okay, this was like
Okay.
an RPG that was immense. It was almost like a real-time battle system, except there's little pause where you chose what element of the target's body to attack, and you upgraded your weapons and items through merging them and stuff. It was kind of intricate and detailed and kind of difficult at the time. And I I got it left behind because of other games that came out at the
Yeah.
time. And I sort of moved on, and I've never heard of it ever since.
Yeah.
Phew.
Yeah,
Just
and
fell
that's
off
it.
the
Like,
radar.
it came out really late on the PlayStation 1 though, didn't it? Like really late on.
Yeah, yeah. It was almost like the PlayStation 2 was almost
And I think that's
there, and I was like,
what did it. Because I remember the PlayStation magazine, they reviewed that. If my memory serves me right, the cover was just like solid white with this hand drawn of the 4 main characters, and it was just like I just remember it looking amazing.
the artwork. It's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was on. It's just one of the games I listed, but before I whittled it down to 5. But yeah, Vagrant Story.
Very good
What a
shout.
game.
I built it up like nobody would have heard of it, and then Luvva's got
Mm.
it on his list or outside his
Love is
list.
always going to
I mean,
have it. Love has lived a whole life before this podcast, it turns out.
the PlayStation 1 was, it probably is still the best console for JRPGs of all kinds. There's just tons of them because
Yeah.
and a lot of RPGs that appear in the best of all time lists were on PlayStation 1. Like you have like Final Fantasy Tactics, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 9, Vagrant Story, Alundra. Yeah, it's just crazy.
No, you're right. And there's that list goes on, and like the
Yeah.
highly rated, really good RPGs.
Yeah.
I think
Also-
before that, you're looking at. Well, sorry, right. This isn't an RPG history podcast. Look,
No.
Tomahawk. What's number 4 in your list?
So
for
the
us?
number 4 pick, I'm going to cast your mind back to the mid-late 90s.
Ooh.
And it's a little racing game called Diddy Kong Racing.
Lovely. Yes.
So I genuinely think that game deserved a sequel. I absolutely think it's one of the better Nintendo racers. I think I still think it actually probably eclipses Mario Kart in a lot of different aspects. Like
There's no probably in it. It's better than Mario Kart 64.
yeah, I don't know. When you play a game and you think this is absolutely brilliant, I would put more of this. Like they've made 8 or 9 renditions of Mario Kart at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Why not a Diddy Kong Racing 2? This is just an injustice. I think needs slightly corrected.
Why not?
I think Diddy Kong Racing falls under the same sort of caveat as F-Zero, where I think Nintendo are worried. They have a racing series and it's Mario Kart,
Yeah,
and I think they're worried if they make F-Zero or Diddy Kong Racing, they're worried that a piece of that Mario Kart pie be taken.
it
And with
pushes Mario Kart out of
with
But it's their
F-Zero,
own pie.
but
I know.
that's it. But why dilute it when Mario Kart makes money hand over fist? Like how many copies of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe have been sold? Like 42 million copies or something.
Exactly. Well, this
That's
is
a
it.
lot
I
of
mean,
money.
I had a good laugh like looking into this about Diddy Kong as well. They did apparently Nintendo did have a sequel planned,
Yep.
Rare I should say, in
Rare,
around 2002. They wanted to push it onto the GameCube, and then Microsoft bought out
bought them.
Rare and just went, nah, you're all right. And
Yeah.
a month before the purchase, they just canned it.
Yeah, there's loads of stories like that with Nintendo though, like where I mean, you have the famous story of what Retro Studios being given Metroid, and that's basically because Miyamoto apparently doesn't like Metroid, and I was like, sure, we'll just give it to this American company. It's never really made a game before. They'll ruin it, and then no one will ever bother us again for it. And they just, if they don't know what to do with it, they just don't touch it.
Exactly.
That's why, sure, the last F-Zero game was GX, for goodness sake, and Sega made it. Like, come on.
I know
Make an
it
F-Zero game.
is bad. Like, I mean, the one thing I will say about Diddy Kong as well, it kind of ties in a lot of newer Nintendo characters. Like, you got the introduction of Conker, and that brought on Conker's Bad Fur Day, which is just another great shout of a game. And even Banjo the Bear, he got
Banjo was in it, yeah, that's right.
he got a ton of Banjo Kazooie games beyond that as well.
Yeah.
They were in my list somewhere, not top 5, but again, that's another list for another day.
It's such a great game too, and it sort of beats Sonic to the punch as well with like transforming vehicles and stuff. So there's the hovercraft, there's the aircraft, and then there's the carts as well. It's a great game. Hard as all heck.
Oh god, it was really really
ridiculous.
Tough,
The boss races were ridiculous, but what a game!
Yeah, no, I remember playing it. We had it. We borrowed it from a friend like way back when, like early 2000s or something like that, and then it just sort of fell off the face of the earth for us. And then my younger brother, he only plays Nintendo, like N64, GameCube, that kind of stuff. So he has it hiding away somewhere. So he's gonna get a text in the next couple of days, and I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna stay in your house for a full day, play Diddy Kong, if that's okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. What a shout that is. Well, that's an absolute shout.
Just a bit of a curveball on our normal format.
Yeah. I've got a couple of
Why
curveballs
not?
coming up. So my number 3 game is probably not that big a curveball, But my number 3 was Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem,
Ooh.
from the
Who's
GameCube.
that?
It was Silicon Knights. It was their horror game in the GameCube. It's basically your granda has died and you go to his mansion to clear up, and then you find a book, and then you travel through time into your ancestry and learn about this book is all the evil and the haunts of throughout the past. What was great about Eternal Darkness was, first of all, it looked incredible and still does look really, really good. But it had a
Okay.
sanity meter. It had a sanity meter.
No.
And when your
It's
sanity
amnesia
meter
then.
drop,
Yeah.
what's that?
It's basically amnesia then, in that kind
Yes
of
and
way.
no. Yes and no. The sanity meter isn't tied to your health in any way, like it is in
Okay.
Amnesia. But what it does is your meter hits thresholds and the game will start doing things. So that could be the game will play in black and white. It'll drop, it'll put a film grain over the top. Or if it got down to a very, very, very low level, the blue screen will pop up when you save a game, and it'll say the game is not saved. Please reset GameCube.
Oh, cool.
And then if that sort of stuff, it broke the fourth wall before Kojima even thought about it. And it was incredible. It's just an incredible, incredible game. It never got a sequel because it was ridiculously expensive to make. Nintendo owns the IP rights, I believe, and Silicon Knights no longer exist because of Too Human. So it's never getting a
Okay.
sequel. The developers of it, Silicon Knights, the guys who made the first one, they tried to kickstart a sequel last year, 2 years ago, on Kickstarter, and it failed to get anywhere near its target. I think they're asking for £2.5 million. I think it made like 25,000. So it's
No
never getting a
way.
sequel. It's
No.
never getting a sequel, and it deserves it because it was a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant game. A really, really good. It's not a survival horror like, but really good horror game that did things that horror games still don't do. Like you're fighting with a sword and you're in a corridor, you can't swing it. Things like that. It's just a really, really
Okay.
smart game.
It's
Really,
really,
really
really
good game.
clever. I mean, I'm just looking
Really
at it
clever.
Yeah.
here as you're chatting. 2002 release, so
It looks amazing. Same
it
year as
still looks
the.
pretty good by the screen grabs as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was a great looking game. It still is. It's still a good game, but it's never getting a sequel.
No,
Oh,
that's it. It sounds
oh well.
terrible.
But
Them's the
Cardinal,
breaks, kid.
what's your number 3, mate, Cardinal?
Hey, mine is very popular, very mainstream. Everyone will know it. It was 1995's Full Throttle, released on the PC and Mac at the time, Windows 95. Full Throttle was a LucasArts adventure game. It's point and click
Motorbikes.
Amazing.
motorbikes. There was the main
Yes.
character was a motorbike guy. You're a motorbike gang seeking revenge and also justice in a dystopian future world. Right, hear me out. This was had a budget of $1.5 million at the time. LucasArts were trying to revitalize the adventure game, and they were expecting to sell 100,000 copies. This was like a mad success at the time. It sold 1.5 million copies, which was the highest selling LucasArts game to date at the time. It had Mark Hamill as voice acting, and this
Okay.
soundtrack full of voice actors and stuff. And it was just, the world moved on from it, and it was never touched on again. It's got a bit of a cult following, but I thought I'd mention it for honor's sake here, because I remember
Right.
playing it on my home PC at the time
Mhm.
in the 90s.
Love a good LucasArts game though, so you're well within your rights to have that opinion.
Yeah.
I love with the Indiana Jones, the wee point and click ones as well.
Yeah.
I honorable mention right there. Like I did.
You can still buy it and play it today for £2.
That's what I was going to say. You can still buy Full Throttle on the PlayStation 4. It got remastered. With about the same time as
Yeah,
Grim Fandango and stuff. Yeah,
Oh, very good.
you can
they all got
Xbox,
remastered.
PlayStation, PC.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a good game. Yeah, good shite. Good shite. What about you, Tomahawk? What's your number 3?
My number 3 pick. I don't know how you boys are gonna think about this, but I really wanted a Portal 3.
Okay.
Yeah, it's middle of
That's
the
a
road. This is a
fair
nice.
shout.
It's a very middle of the road pick on this because only for the fact that Portal 2 had quite a satisfying ending. You're turfed out of the facility. You're told just to please leave me alone. I just want to be.
I
I've
haven't
got.
finished it yet. Spoilers.
Nobody cares.
How many choice?
Like the game's been out for about 500
How many
years.
choice?
Cardinal, come on. I think I need another physics-based puzzle game in my life.
Yeah.
And
You're
I
just
feel as if
right.
Portal's a great wee show. Portal has a great fan base, and I think if they just went Portal 3, it's not a follow-on, it's not a continuation, it's just a new story. People will still lap it up, people will still buy it, but no dice, kid, sadly.
I think Putin would stop the war in Ukraine if they announced Portal 3, like amongst others. Like I think that would the world would come to half a standstill.
The
It would be that
insinuation,
hyped.
the insinuation is that Putin has started this war for Portal 3. Someone should tell him Valve don't do threes.
But yeah, I
what
think
a
Portal
shout.
3 was yeah, it's just one of the it came a moment of clarity today. I was refining my list here and I went Portal 3, and then I got really sad because I don't know
Great
where
shout.
my copy of Portal 2 is. So
Portal 2 was amazing in co-op.
such a good game. Oh, the co-op
Co-op
absolutely made that game.
puzzles are amazing. So they're amazing. So what a game! What a game! Was that the game that Valve released a version of Linux for the PlayStation 3, and it basically ran off Linux on the PlayStation 3, didn't it? Because it's one of the very few PlayStation 3 versions that ran way better than the Xbox 360. Because I do remember Valve releasing a PS3 version of Linux, and it must have been in and around the time of Portal 2.
Interesting.
Mm.
Didn't know
That
that.
was a few years after Gabe Newell came out and said that consoles are terrible for gaming. Here's Linux. How about that?
Turn that on.
But what a game. Right, so here's what we're going to do. We'll move on to our number twos, and then we'll do our honorable mentions, and then we'll go into our number ones.
Like it.
All right.
Love it.
So,
Let's do that.
so my number two was the hardest choice for me to make, actually. So it was. So I was torn between two Rockstar games. Two.
Oh.
And they may not be the Rockstar games you're thinking of. But they
GD6,
probably are.
Max Payne 4.
But they probably are. In the end, I flipped a coin and it landed on Tails, and I came up with Bully or Canis Merit.
Oh,
Yeah.
2006.
What a game that is! That's a great game. So it is. It's just.
Was that by Rockstar?
Yeah,
It was Rockstar, yeah.
Rockstar San Diego, if memory serves me right. Yeah, unreal game. It's just brilliant. Just go to school, get bullied, go to class, get the girls, and it was just the whole setup for it is amazing. So you go to Bulworth Academy because you're a troubled child. You go into Bulworth and you sort of make a name for yourself. But what I liked about it was it just the whole story takes place in one school year. And the seasons change, and then every time a season changes, it opens up just a little bit more of the open world. So if you remember, there was the Halloween festival and the theme park and stuff opened up, and you can go to the theme park. And I was just, what a game! What a game!
Yeah.
Just the amount of options in that game that was open to the player was just incredible. And it just it was so British in its humor. The school was clearly like a British private school.
Primer school,
And they were just the satire of taking taking the Michael out of the upper classes in Middle England. It was just brilliant. It was just typical Rockstar, just really, really good satire, really good game, and it should have got a sequel. But if it did, it wouldn't be here, would it?
Exactly, yeah, that's it.
So Rockstar, get on it. Give us a Bully
it's when
2.
they spent 15 years trying to make GTA 6 now, they could have done they could have made Bully 3, 4, and 5. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And Bully 2, obviously.
Yeah. I don't even know why they've shied away from it, because the only thing I could think of is the controversy that was around it. Like, but what year was that? 2004, 2005. I think it came out originally. Get over it. Give us Bully 2 now, Rockstar. we see they're going to announce
Big demands.
Tomorrow.
another
High score, high
content
stakes.
pack for GTA Online.
Fuck.
So, Cardinal, what about yours? What's your number 2 game?
It's GTA Online. No. My number 2. Sorry to stick with way back in the day, but mine is Epic Games 1998 Unreal Engine 1 Unreal. This was a first-person shooter back in the day. It was Epic's first, and they used some pinball game to fund it that they released. But anyway, this was released just before Half-Life in the same year, and Half-Life came along and went,
Absolutely
I am
dominated.
great. Everyone loves
Yeah.
me. Yes, no one remembers Unreal. But Unreal was fantastic. And of course, the Unreal Engine that we hear about today is from that, and they've just developed that since. So this game was a first-person shooter. It was kind of the same as Half-Life, except you were a prisoner in a crash-landed ship on a space world somewhere. And it was huge. The story was massive, and it had like an online multiplayer, which there's still people playing on it today. And I think you might know the game that spawned called Unreal Tournament. Okay, which was a huge arena shooter. Obviously carried on the back of, you had your Doom and your Quakes, and then Unreal Tournament came along, and that was like a big franchise for a while, which I absolutely loved. But there was never like a single player solo game of Unreal or any sequel. What was interesting about it is it had these features such as co-op play, which back in 1998 was really cool. So you could log on with anyone in the world, never mind a friend, and co-op through the main story, just
Okay.
as you go, and drop in on different levels, if you wanted to help out other people. It was Unreal, exactly. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
I think if memory serves me correct, when my dad came home with the Voodoo FX card,
Oh my god. Yeah.
Unreal was the packing game with it. Just a wee jewel case. I remember the cover of it was just like sky, like dark blue. I just remember like I don't think I ever really played it. I think I played the first couple of levels, but yeah, it looked amazing. I remember that. I remember it
The
looking
graphics were great at the time.
incredible. But yeah, what a shite that is. I actually forgot there was no Unreal 2 because there wasn't, because they thought it was Unreal Tournament. What a
It's because
shite.
it wasn't.
No. What a
And
shite.
speaking of which, speaking of twos, Tomahawk, take us to your number 2.
My number 2. Oh yes, this shouldn't actually come as a surprise to me, and I've said this several times in the podcast. I want and need an Alien Isolation 2.
I knew you were gonna say it.
And it shouldn't be a surprise it's come up this high in my list now, because I'm gonna beef with Apple, because you can't package Five Nights at Freddy's with an Alien skin and call it an Alien Isolation sequel. I won't have it, and I won't accept it. I'll still play it and love it, but I need a full immersive horror, survival horror experience.
Yes, mate.
And
I
I'm
knew you were going to say that.
I should have. Was it surprising? No, of course not.
No.
Does it need to happen? Absolutely, yes.
Yes,
But
it
for a fact,
does.
I know for a fact it won't happen.
It won't happen.
Is it creative
Do you reckon not?
differences? Licensing.
It was such a success.
It
Sega
was.
don't
That's
own
the problem.
License anymore. I don't think Sega own the license anymore. There's another Alien game coming out, and I don't believe it's Sega making it. So
Yeah, like,
release.
sadly, the life and adventures of Amanda Ripley, killed in the cradle. Sadly, I would have loved for another. Even just the premise of what Blackout wanted to do, I kind of get the story. Like, she is rescued essentially, and the Weyland-Yutani folk come to protect their asset. And I kind of wouldn't mind if they built on that in a full game, really. Like, you're trying to stop the same thing happening, but also you have to stop Weyland from essentially bankrolling the Xenomorph project again or something. But yeah, I'm gonna protest this until the day I die, I think.
It's honestly a great game. It's a great game, and it was on my list as well before I whittled it down to 5. I didn't pick it
It-
because I knew you would. I knew you would.
Nice.
I was waiting for it. I thought it was going to be number one.
Do
I
you know
thought it was going to
what?
be number
It
one on your
was.
list, to be
It
honest.
was. It was literally as Cardinal was going through his there. I was eeny meeny miny mowing my top two spots there. So it nestled nicely in at number 2 there, I think, and it only for the fact that it's so fresh in my head, I can kind of ride the that success for a while. My number
Yeah.
one pick being a bit of a doozy in my mind, at least anyway.
One you've waited on.
Exactly.
One you've waited on.
Ooh.
We all know the
Worth
pain
it.
of waiting for that sequel coming, boys. We all know the pain.
But while we wait to hear what that sequel is,
Ooh.
let's tease this out and hear what are our honorable mentions in games that we loved that never got sequels.
Okay, so my honorable mentions, and there's quite a few of them, so buckle in, please.
Strap in.
LA Noir. LA Noir.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes. I'm going to say yes.
What a great game.
I approve it.
And then my next honorable mention is Rockstar
And you should-
Table Tennis. Rockstar Table Tennis is incredibly good. Like, all it was.
Is this a VR game or something?
No, it was an Xbox 360 launch title. All it is the world's most bare bones simulation of table tennis, and I think it was a physics test basically for Grand Theft Auto 4, and it is incredibly good. But they came, did it, never went back to it. Rockstar Table Tennis is awesome. I think there was a Wii version that had motion controls too.
Oh, right,
But-
okay.
But no, it was awesome. Awesome game. And it is physics wise incredible. That I think was it Rage? Is that what they called their physics engine? Rage or Havoc or whatever. But incredible. What a game. My next one is I don't think they've appeared yet this episode. Capcom. My customary Capcom reference. Okami. Technically, this
Okay.
did get a sequel on the DS, but
Doesn't count.
real G's don't count that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't buy the Capcom deal there for £32 that was just going. So
Yeah,
I haven't heard about Kami.
Okami wasn't on that. So Okami is the best Zelda game that Nintendo has never made. You play, I think it's Amaterasu, so a wolf, the Japanese goddess of wind, and it's basically was a Wii title to
Aye.
start with, and it's basically you just go on this quest, and it's your job you control the wind, obviously, to help you achieve things, but you also have this celestial paintbrush, and you use a celestial paintbrush to defeat enemies and also rebuild the world around you in that Japanese water color style.
Okay.
Oh,
It
well,
is a
arty.
beautiful, beautiful, really good game. It's one of those games that lasts for like 60 hours and doesn't get good until about 8 hours in, but it's really, really, really good if you give it the time it deserves. But Okami, every time I see Okami HD go on sale, I'm like, should I buy it? Should I buy? And then I always go no because it's so long, and it's just the thing that puts me off it. But Okami should have got like a proper sequel, and there's no excuse not to throw it on the Switch because you can do
Aye.
everything. And then I'll just go with one more one then. And it's Freedom Fighters. Remember Freedom Fighters? PS2,
Ooh,
IO Interactive
That's-
game.
It's like yes,
It's
but
been
no.
a
It's one of
long
those.
time.
It's a title that's
Yeah.
in the back of my mind. Yes.
Yeah, it's an alternate reality third-person shooter in the PlayStation 2. It's basically Russia invades America, and you are heading up the resistance. So you basically play a firefighter, and it's your job to shoot through the streets and create your own team of resistance to get the communists
this called
back
again,
from
sorry?
whence they came. Freedom Fighters.
I was gonna say it sounds suspiciously like Homefront. I feel as if they've just a bit of a repackage on that there.
No, it's Freedom Fighters was great. Homefront was dreadful.
Yeah, I agree.
Good summary.
Freedom Fighters was honestly brilliant. So basically, every mission would be go to this part of the city and do this. And whilst you're there, you might meet one character, you might meet 2 or 3, and your lair was in the sewers under the ground. And every time you rescue them, you bring them back, and they would join your team. And then you can use that character in the next mission or whatever. But it was really, really, really good. Really good game. Brilliant game, in fact. I don't know why it never got a sequel. IO Interactive usually like revisiting but they've never revisited it, which is a real shame. But it would be great to get a Freedom Fighters 2. Stop making Hitman. Go make Freedom Fighters 2. IO, thank you.
Oh,
but
no,
that,
you must have more Hitman expansions.
yes, no more. That's it. I have loads more games, but I'll let you guys talk. So go ahead, Cardinal. What's your honorable mentions, mate?
Oh, I was expecting
He's
this
good
to
that way,
go
isn't
on
he?
for. Yeah.
The
I'll
honorable
tell you what,
mentions
I'll
is
keep it
longer than the podcast itself.
the potty.
The
Um,
potty. Don't know what it's.
don't mention that. So my first one of my honorable mentions is one that Luvva specifically didn't say earlier in this podcast, and it's Final Fantasy VIII. Now, why am I saying we didn't get a sequel to Final Fantasy VIII whenever there's 16 of them? Final Fantasy VII had a movie called Advent Children. It had a prequel. It had spin-offs called Dirge's Cerberus and about other characters.
Mhm.
And it's also got its own massive remake, which also includes prequels and character spin-offs. Final Fantasy IX, but there's also a fan made on the go right now. Final Fantasy X had Final Fantasy X-2, which is a stupid name, but it still happened.
Yep.
Final Fantasy VIII gets no love.
Yep.
Nothing. Dead. Didn't happen. Why not? I enjoyed it.
Maybe
And I stand on this ground.
maybe the director of Final Fantasy VIII is jealous because Squall is the most handsome boy in the school.
Good meme reference. But you see,
One of the best lines I've ever seen in the game. My memory of Final Fantasy VIII is very simple. Bring in my Game Boy Color, 6 games in the game to exchange it for Final Fantasy VIII and still having to pay £15.
I didn't know game has screwed you over for so many decades.
Oh, mate,
And he keeps going back. That's the problem.
they love it. They see me walk in and they're like,
"There's Luvva again."
He still comes back.
Why is he here?
Right. Moving on quickly. My other honorable mention is Command and Conquer Generals 2. Right? Now, Command and Conquer was like a big strategy wartime, franchise, which isn't really around anymore. Okay, you're famous for Riddler. It's Riddler 2 and 3. But Command and Conquer Generals came around about the turn of the millennium, and it was like a modern day based, slightly modern day, where you could play as either American factions, Chinese factions, or there's maybe some racial depictions that wouldn't be acceptable today in those particular American, Chinese, and Middle Eastern factions. But it was a great strategy game. It was absolutely wonderful. And it just never got any more effort or love for sequels ever since. So I wanted to include a strategy game.
Fair enough. Seems unlike Cardinal to include a strategy game, but there we are.
Exactly. Thanks, Tomahawk.
Stay tuned for Cardinal Smith's spin-off podcast, High Scores, High Strategy.
Let's move on to Tomahawk.
Coming this fall. I only have one honorable mention, and I actually am very surprised that none of us really mentioned it. Maybe, possibly Luvva. Sleeping Dogs.
It's on my list. It was one of my honorable mentions. Yeah,
I just how it didn't get a sequel is beyond me, really.
It took a very, very, very long time to make. And it was like 2 or 3 different development studios, 4 different publishers over 6 or 7 years, because it was a true crime game to start with. True crime, Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So it was. It took a very, very, very long time to make. It cost a lot of money, but what a game it was.
We don't get a Sleeping Dogs 2, but Cyberpunk gets 2077 version. I don't think that's fair.
I know. But yes, what a great game. Still got the best combat, hand-to-hand combat in an open world game.
Absolutely, yes. It's the only honorable mention I have. It's really the only honorable mention I think is worth it. Really, it just is was a great game of its time, and I think it became more obviously like they built on the true crime series. But I think it became far bigger than that. Even that scene where you're at the top of the building and you have to sort of fight your way down, but you're all like bloodied and bruised, and it's raining. Just epic, absolutely
it's a great
epic.
game. It's a great game. Was on my list, but yes, what a game! What a game!
Someone got it in there at least.
Yes, thank goodness. So number one game time, boys. Are we ready for
Boys?
this? I know I'm
Oh,
ready
the
for this.
world.
My number one game will take absolutely nobody by surprise. My
You want
My
Street
number
Fighter
one.
7?
Street Fighter.
Resident Evil.
Code Veronica 2, please. No, it's Bloodborne. It's Bloodborne.
Not
Aye.
surprised
So it
whatsoever.
is. Bloodborne is the pinnacle of the Souls genre. It is incredible.
Yeah.
It's got the best art direction. It's got the best combat system. It's got the best world. It's just everything about it. Will probably never surpass it. It's just everything about it was just great. I think it might be my favorite game of last generation. I think it might be the best game of the last gen.
Yeah.
And that
that's
is
fair.
massive praise when you think you had God of War, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima. There's The Last of Us remastered, The Last of Us Part 2. There's loads and loads and loads of great games. I honestly think Bloodborne is the best game that was on PlayStation 4. And I don't think it's really close either. It's just so much there's so much to it. There's so much about it. It's infinitely replayable. The amount of agency and the amount of choice the player has on every aspect of their character is just ridiculous in that game. The DLC was incredible. The Old Hunters was amazing. And then if you're into it, there's infinite replayability in the Chalice dungeons that are just
Yeah.
incredible. It's
We're always into it.
The whole game's incredible. The only thing that you can hold against it is its frame pacing's weird. And the game runs, I think it runs a solid 30 on the PlayStation 4, but it seems to run slower at points. And that's just because the frame pacing's strange. It doesn't have consistent frame pacing. But beyond that, Bloodborne.
No, it's funny we were.
Go ahead, Tom.
Oh no, I was just gonna say in the setup, me and Cardinal were saying Betchy picks Bloodborne. If not, in his
100%.
top, if in his top
Love
5,
is picking Bloodborne.
probably in his number 1 spot anyway. So this doesn't really come as a surprise. But as I
told
said,
you.
I thought you might have said Dino Crisis because it never got a real sequel.
You know what? Dino Crisis never got a real sequel. Let's just be honest here, folks. Okay, Dino Crisis 1's a Resident Evil panic.
What
It's
have
a
we done?
panic horror game.
Stop.
Dino Crisis 2 was an action game. Dino Crisis 3 never existed. Give me Dino Crisis.
We got him.
Give me Dino Crisis 2, the real one, please, Capcom. For goodness sake, all the business I'm getting here for you in this podcast, you can't even give me Dino Crisis 2. Buy Street Fighter 6.
Subscribe to Capcom Monthly.
So Bloodborne 2.
I would love a Bloodborne 2, okay? When you think about what FromSoft have done in the past, right? Dark Souls was great. Dark Souls 2 was a very good game, but as a Souls game, it's the worst probably that they've made. Yet Dark Souls 2 gets a sequel before Bloodborne does.
Yeah.
And Elden Ring will get a sequel before Bloodborne does. Bloodborne can't even get a remaster on a PC. For goodness sake, just make it. It's amazing.
What would you?
Is it
What would you
because
call
the
it?
game
Would you
is so
call it
likable?
Bloodborne? Would you call it Bloodborne Born Again, or would you call it Bloodborne First
Electric
Blood?
Boogaloo.
I would call it Bloodborne, but the D in blood has 2 lines like Roman numerals. That's
It's like
what I
you've
would
thought
call
about
it.
this.
And I would throw it back in the same game world. Just even throw it back in time as the Scourge takes place. Be incredible. What a game.
Yeah.
What a game. Everything about it is just every game mechanic builds on top of itself to everything about it. The story in it is just it's good. Cardinal. I'll talk about.
Do you like
it.
it? Do you like it, Luvva?
I love
Should
it.
we save
I
it for a
remember. I
deep
remember.
dive? Yeah.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe. I remember Luvva's what do you call it, blog? You had that, and
Yes.
you gave it like 10 out of 10 and called it the game of the what do you call it, season, platform, generation.
The generation. Still the only
Yeah.
10 out of 10 that blog ever give. The
Good
only 10
heavens
out of 10.
above.
What a game.
Now, my number one game that didn't get a sequel is a sequel. And it
Ooh.
is a game that has always been suggested that should exist, but it is also a game that was in development and never got made. So in 2007, Valve were working on their third episode of this,
Yes.
Half-Life 3. It never existed.
When she said
And
it's
it
a
got
sequel,
canned.
I knew it was Half-Life. When she
Yeah.
said,
To be
I
fair, there
feel
was a
like it's
moment I
meme
panicked
saying
and thought
this.
it was going to be my pick, but based on our showcase pick, I thought, oh god,
No
we've got the
chance.
same pick now.
Tag team it. Half-Life 2 came out in 1998 after what I mentioned earlier, Unreal, and it took everything to the next level. The graphics were immense, the puzzles were class, the sort of physics in the game too, and the story, it was all great. Then Half-Life 2 came out in 2004, and you had like a gravity gun, upgraded graphics, it introduced new stuff in physics again, and it was like, where's the next one?
Yeah.
And Gabe's just, I don't know what Gabe does.
And
Not make
it's-
Half-Life 3.
Especially with the ending of episode 2 as well. I don't want to spoil it in case Tom's never played it.
Tom
like,
doesn't know what it is.
See, Half-Life was a
Tom-
series of first-person
Tom
shooters.
has played it. Tom has played it, just never finished it because
Okay.
Tom has.
And that's why I don't want to
Yeah.
spoil
Are
the
we
ending
going to
of-
respect spoilers here? To Tomahawk?
Apparently it
No,
doesn't
no,
go
I'm
both
joking.
ways.
No, but that's it. I think it's kind of a meme choice for me, to be honest. So
But
I'm
it's-
keen to
It's
hear
a
what-
choice the whole world
I think it
has
needs
been.
called out.
But in fairness, it does need called out because it wasn't Half-Life 3 wasn't active development because there was that leak maybe 2 years ago, wasn't there? Where the
Was there?
writer
Yeah.
of Half-Life says
Oh,
this
yeah.
is never being made. Here's my story for Half-Life 3 that was in active development, and then just sort of whoop throws out the whole plot for Half-Life 3, all of it. In
Wowzers.
text form. You can read it. He changes names and stuff. So it's like Dr. Goodman, I think, is what he calls it. But yeah, it would have been a hell of a game. Just read it going, I wish I could play this
Undoubtedly.
part. This sounds amazing.
Yes.
But yes, what a game. Half-Life 2 is... One thing I will say is, though, is the final battle in Half-Life Episode 2 was an enormous pain in the rump.
In the rump stack, right?
Mm-hmm. But anyway,
Well, speaking of high scores, high stakes, Tomahawk. What's your number one?
Well, no pressure here then, lads. So my sequel that never got made a sequel is 13 years and counting in the making. Is Fallout New Vegas 2.
okay.
Ooh, baby.
Which, to be fair, Fallout New Vegas is the single greatest game in the Fallout series, and I will not hear anything else of it, lads. I just think Obsidian were onto something really special with that game because it was a Fallout game without being so on the nose a Fallout game. You know, like the whole vault jumpsuit at the start. You get your Pip-Boy. You're given the Pip-Boy purely as like a HUD item, and you're just told to go into the world. And it was excellent. Like it's just as a drabber look on what Fallout is. Usually like all the other Fallout games are quite like big bold colors, and everything is like we've just got on and happy-go-lucky with our life and stuff. But this one was just just an air of sadness that I think that post-apocalyptic kind of game needed, really.
Grittier.
And yeah, like I don't know what it is with Obsidian and Bethesda and stuff at the minute, like what their beef is. But why won't they bloody make New Vegas 2?
So can I ask? Because I always hear like New Vegas is like an absolutely immense game. Why was it that's made by Obsidian, which is different to the other
Yeah.
Fallout games.
I took it in the same way that,
Okay.
the Call of Duty did Infinity Ward
Mhm.
for the main body of games, and then they went to
Hammerhead.
Hammerhead for like their Black Ops games and stuff. I thought it was just like a share the load kind of. We'll do the main
Yeah.
body of the game, and then you guys do the extensions of the spin-offs essentially. And
Yeah,
whatever
that was-
happened, I think Obsidian may have had beef somewhere down the line, or maybe Bethesda were like, "This game's too good, stop making them."
Another stack reference.
Because we ended up with, let's face it, we ended up with Fallout 4, and it was fine.
Yeah, I think Bethesda sort of restructured their whole business model after New Vegas. I think New Vegas was critically acclaimed, but I don't think it did
Mhm.
particularly. I don't think it sold gangbusters when it was released. It has since, because obviously everyone who bought it, but it's one of the very few games where I got it on launch for the 360, and
Yeah.
it was an absolute. It was a mess. It was a mess. I remember playing that game, and getting to out of the vault and getting to the first town, and I can't remember what the mission was. You go through a museum, like a small museum, and I remember every time I walked through the museum door, the game would crash. And then when you reload the game, your save was corrupt and wouldn't work. And I think
Okay.
Bethesda classic.
I did that opening hour and a half, maybe about 6 times. Every time we just did the same thing, and then one of them was like, "Yeah, just walk in backwards, walk through the building backwards, and the game won't crash." And it didn't. I
That's amazing.
purposely spent 45 minutes walking backwards through a map just to get into that game. But what a game it was!
Yeah, no, it
Yeah,
was absolutely quality.
it's I don't I would go as far as saying it's not only the best Fallout, it's probably the best RPG Bethesda have published. I think it's
No,
brilliant.
I would fully agree with that as well.
So,
Though, I mean, the only beef I had
hang
with
on.
it was, yes,
Yeah,
let's
it's better
hear.
than Skyrim. It's better than
Well,
Skyrim.
well, hang on. No, we can't just declare that
I just
Fallout
did.
New Vegas
Oh
was a
no,
better
as the
RPG.
only gaming podcast in the world, we
Yes.
can.
Yeah. So you can.
Hey, wait, okay, are we going to declare this as a democracy and you're going to outvote me? Because
There's no democracy here, mate.
having not played New Vegas, essentially, I still have to declare Skyrim as
I feel as if
the,
it's a
the
case of you
daddy.
snooze, you lose.
I've never got on with Skyrim. I have never got on with the Elder Scrolls, to be honest. It's not my jam, but yeah.
Let me
I-
just
I-
take down
Ah,
my framed picture of the world map from the Elder Scrolls world.
I have beef with this as well.
Let me
Why
get
does
rid of my
Skyrim
Talos
get
statue here.
a remake? Why does Skyrim get remakes and remasters, and we can't get a bloody Fallout 2, New Vegas 2 sequel?
Yeah.
There we
Yeah.
are. That's an injustice. Also,
Yeah.
I will commend
Where's the next
auto
Elder
save.
Scrolls game?
Nobody cares about the Elder Scrolls games.
Yes, they do.
You do. You're not everyone.
Do you know what I love about all these games though? Like the New Vegas, the Fallout 4s, the Elder Scrolls games, they are so moddable, especially on PC platforms. The mods available for them just keep the game alive for years because of the content people make.
What I
Just-
love about them is they're all essentially the same game.
Yeah.
There's that too.
They're all essentially the same game, but it's good. I liked Fallout 3, but New Vegas
Fallout 3 is my
next
gateway.
level.
Fallout 3 walked so New Vegas could run is my thought. Apart from that moment where I put about 60 hours into it and then forgot to manually save about 5 hours worth of gameplay and then got into an infinite death loop.
Ugh.
So I had to manually set the load back about 5 hours. Yeah, that kind of ruined my happiness, but that's on me. That's not the game's fault.
Well, yeah. And then the same thing happened with Alien Isolation. Learn from your mistakes here, Tom. Come on.
Yeah, that's seeing.
That's it
Yeah,
back 7
good.
years.
It just
I
makes
think
me
we
not
could have
buy a
another
game on
discussion.
launch.
I think we could have another chat sometime about situations in games where we've got stuck in either a death loop or we're not good enough or like a skill
Yeah.
issue or a character development issue. And we could chat about those moments
Yeah.
Absolutely.
easily.
Easily. So, just to recap them, we'll recap the games. My top 5: Sunset Overdrive, Freak Style, Eternal Darkness, Bully, Bloodborne.
Quality.
I also
My
just
top.
realised mine were in
go on.
alphabetical order from 1 to 5.
I was just got a spreadsheet that's auto sorted itself.
That was easy.
My top 5 was The Simpsons Hit and Run, Vagrant Story, Full Throttle, Unreal, and Half-Life 2.
Lovely.
You know what? They're great choices.
They
So
really
far.
are.
Yeah, really like. I thought they would have some stinkers in here, but no, we've done the fake sequel world proud. I think today.
Yeah.
So my top 5 was Titanfall, Diddy Kong Racing, Portal, Alien Isolation, and Fallout New Vegas.
Lovely.
Strong hitters.
What choices? And that is it. That is a wrap. Yeah, that's it. Another one done, boys. Well done. So, as per, that we get to do the social wrap up. So keep me right, because we haven't done this in a bit. So we haven't. So
Underscore.
2 underscores and Cardinal Smith. They weren't there for the first 8 weeks, but whatever. So Instagram at High Scores High Stakes Podcast.
Indeed.
On Twitter at HScoresHstakes. I'm also on Twitter at Mr_Luvva_Luvva. It's at Cardinal_Smith_. And then it is at Tomohawk_HSHS.
Bingo.
And then Sherry is at Mr. John Sherry. You can find the podcast on, I don't know if it still works, anchor.fm/High Scores High Stakes.
It is. I feel as if Anchor
still
are
redirects,
still
doesn't it?
Yeah, it still redirects.
Still
holding on to that.
redirects. Yeah, because the new link is really long. But anyway, it will still redirect you there. There you can still do polls, Q&As, leave voicemails, all their good stuff. You can also find a Discord server. Discord server link is going to be in the description below. There you can take part in game challenges we've done in Season 1. Put your own times on and see if you can hit up the top of the leaderboard. That is fixed. It's no longer doing it in alphabetical order. Isn't that right, Cardinal?
Exactly.
And yeah, you can see the full podcast in video format also on YouTube, and that is youtube.com/at High Scores High Stakes. And I think that is everything.
I think so. Shall we put our picks in the Discord, and maybe anyone who thinks that we're can have their say? Maybe pick their 5 picks as well.
Sounds good to me.
Lovely idea.
Yeah, beautiful idea. I love it. Get to the Discord, put in your top 5 games that should have got a sequel but never did. Do it on Discord. And until next Monday, I've been Mr. Luvva, and this has been High Scores High Stakes. See you on Monday.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye.
Boom.